Well, I guess I'll start. Welcome to the Jerry's Live After Party, the only pre-recorded show to discuss the live events that have not yet occurred when we film this. And as Amy pointed out, I need to reintroduce myself to her.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Michael Goldstein. I used to be on Jerry's Live frequently, but unfortunately, 5:30 has now become what we call the witching hour, and my wife will leave me if I'm not home. So
to take that's it was like, oh, you seem very oh, that's right. I
yeah,
remember
you see the face.
Yeah,
It's nice.
Well, I see baby pictures. So
Oh well,
and
yeah.
you're in them with said baby. So
So
Yeah.
you know it's true. I'm really
Haven't
with her.
forgotten you. Yeah.
I'm really watching her.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we're gonna talk colored pencil stuff today.
We're talking colored pencils. We've already discussed all the brands. We've discussed kind of the wax versus the oil-based pencil and kind of what things those are going to be able to do for you. So right now we're going to start talking more about kind of technique and basic application.
Oh, that sounds like a learning experience.
I know. That's why you're here.
Oh, good.
You needed to be learned.
I need to get my learn
Yes.
on.
So and then there's a bunch of different burnishers and blenders, sticks and all that are out there on the market, kind of trying to decide what's going to work best for you for specific pencils. And then also we're going to discuss sharpeners, because as silly as that sounds, colored pencils are an investment, and yes, you can buy singles to replace ones in your set, but you can waste a lot of pencils by sharpening them wrong.
Right.
So we'll discuss that too, and kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to this. Colored pencils are a lot easier than pastels for me.
You don't have to wear gloves.
No
Yeah.
gloves required.
Exactly. All right. So I think what we're going to talk about first is just kind of basic application, and we'll use kind of a smoother sheet for this. Now, different paper textures are going to give you different results.
Right.
So, and we'll kind of try that.
And this is a Stonehenge white.
This is the Stonehenge white. Yeah, it's a 250 gram paper, and it's got a little bit of tooth, but it's relatively smooth compared
Right.
to some other papers. So, first, I would just like to see how you typically would apply colored pencils, and we can go ahead and just use
Sure.
these since they're right there.
There's a lot of, let's see.
Some Soho ones out.
I think one of the things that I remember when I was taught in school was just, because it's fun, because they're all, no.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
crayon
no.
you make and bake, and
Okay, so let me
Of
kick
particles.
this up to a higher level of.
that would be
Okay, so I think that what would naturally come for me if I was to, let's say, just try to fill in an area here, is I would, pull down the color and then keep going through overlapping.
right. Because you're going for coverage.
I'm going for
Right,
coverage, right?
okay.
Yeah, I'm going the distance.
All right.
I'm going for speed.
Is that having your cake and eating it too? Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah.
I like the reference.
Yeah.
And that's kind of blotchy, like my skin.
Right. Well, yes, and you can see, and I'm going to draw over this.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully you don't have like ownership.
No, not of
Okay.
this.
So you can see in there where you've got that overlap how much darker that is. That's not what you're wanting to do. Okay. When you take your colored pencil, and this has a little bit of a knock the tip off a little bit. Probably for you, and the way that I notice that you draw is to kind of do it in very small circles. Okay, so you're going to want to kind of do this and work your way out. See how much smoother the coverage is with that?
Yeah, let me try to do that.
Very soft and kind of smooth.
So
I like how you are very worried about keeping it contained in that area.
that's right, this is my area.
Okay.
Now, this obviously will take a little longer,
Yes.
but I should achieve a more consistent.
Right, and you can tell, and you can tell too, kind of as you're doing that, you kind of have to use the same amount of pressure.
Absolutely.
Right,
This is kind of
so-
forcing me to be consistent, which
Right.
I'm not otherwise.
Right.
And it's almost like everything's getting overlapped at the same amount.
Right. Yeah, more or less. You don't have these areas that a lot less is happening and then a lot more is happening. So that when you go back and you use a burnisher or you go to apply your next layer of color, it's as relatively even,
Right.
evenly applied as you can do that.
Okay. Well, I could do this all day long. It's mesmerizing. All right.
Yes. So that's just kind of learning color fill. Now there's a few other techniques that some people use. I think probably the next best one that's good to use is to do more like linear strokes, where you're filling one way like this, and then you would go back. I don't know, me being lefty is always a problem. But you can see how working that both ways almost accomplishes that same thing, maybe even a little more. Notice I didn't use a box though.
Right, but this, okay, yeah, thank you for that.
With you.
But the trick to what you're doing here is you're, again, not overlapping the way I was over here.
Right.
So even, well, you are overlapping, but on a consistent basis. So
Right.
I would go over this. I see.
Right. Now
Okay.
see how you're getting this
Tone.
kind of tone, a nice mass tone all over by doing that. And obviously, if you were not working in a small area, you might get some overlap, so you'd have to be a little lighter handed and kind of match up a little, more delicately.
Right.
But that's kind of another quick way to get fill, where this sometimes takes a little bit longer. Now, this actually is going to work better for textured papers.
Okay.
Like if we've got the,
Pastel paper here?
yeah, pick a nice light color out of the,
All right. Let's get on like a
not going
pale
for the
yellow.
pink.
No, I wanted to, but it didn't look light enough. I
Yeah.
didn't want to get yelled at again. So circular motions again?
yes.
Okay, so let me. You're having a hard time. I'm a righty, so you
I know.
have to peek over.
I know.
Maybe we should switch sides.
And then notice how that paper feels different. You have to kind of change the pressure that you were using versus how smooth that Stonehenge
Yes,
is.
this is going to take more pressure to get a darker.
Yes, exactly. Okay, now try it the linear way and see if that's harder, easier.
There's definitely more drag on the pencil when I bring it across the page. But I'm getting I'm still getting a consistent,
Okay,
and that's really picking up the texture of the paper there, where you see
Right.
those little spots.
Right. See how you can see a little bit more where the lines didn't kind of go quite together
Yep.
as much. That's much more even because it's kind of been almost buffed into the paper.
Buffed into the paper.
So it's just kind of knowing a good thing to do when you get your colored pencils and you kind of select what brand of paper, because most brands, like obviously the Canson ones are going to have that same texture. There's different colors. Stonehenge is going to be much smoother if you're using watercolor paper. Whatever papers you're taking, it's not the worst idea to take that if you're going to be very consistent about your papers. Make yourself a color chart.
Right.
Okay, because number one, you're seeing what does this color look like on this color of paper.
And what's the texture going to be?
What is the texture going to be? And by the time, even though that's time consuming, it's going to take a while, but by the time you're done with that color chart, you already have good muscle memory for how application's going to be on that paper.
Right.
Right? So that then you're already ready to go. You
Right.
don't have to think about it. The first couple works that you do, you're not going to kind of be fighting that texture
Sure.
with technique. So it can kind of help you adapt a little bit better.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, and I think we'll stick with the Stonehenge because it'll be a little bit easier to see. Let's see. Let's get a kind of a grade. Slightly grade Stonehenge. There's a. this
Believe it or
tablet
not,
has
that's
colors.
multicolored.
Yeah, I know.
Different
we'll
shades
give
of
you
beige.
I'm going to give you a cream, and I'll do the beige so that if there's a big difference, we've got two varieties because we'll both do this
Thank you.
exercise. And I would say
This is really smooth.
not put the other paper under it because it's going to cause too soft of an effect.
Right.
Where the application's going to be a little wonky. That's the other thing. When I do this, I usually have a hard board that I take artist tape and
Yeah.
tape everything down to.
It seems like this paper, one side is for drawsies and the other side is just for backsies. Because the texture doesn't seem the same on both sides.
This is 100% cotton.
Okay.
So it's going to be, it's the same paper because this isn't a water media paper. It's not sized. So
Right.
what the difference is how they press them with the felt when they're making them.
Right.
So there might be a little bit of a difference, the pad one side versus the other.
But there's no right or wrong side.
No. Even with watercolor paper, you know how they say, oh, only use the side with the watermark. That's old. Like when they used to apply the stuff by hand way back, you know.
And also they want the watermark so that people can see what brand of paper
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Very self-serving.
Exactly. So, all right. So what we're going to do is take a whatever color of your choosing
You got a
you'd
nice
like.
blue
And you
earlier.
know what? Since these are oil-based, I'm going to have you use wax-based.
Oh, I didn't even know that I was doing that.
Yeah. I put all the oil over here. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, well.
Okay, what we're going to do with this is Prismacolor, which is, obviously everybody knows this
Stumpy.
is a wax base. Okay, let's talk about the
Oh, did
the
I segue
sharpeners.
for you?
Well, it's like the perfect time. So, all right, so these are some new sharpeners that
Get to
we
the point.
carry. Yeah. Oh. No. Aren't you gonna have another baby soon? Go back on paternity leave.
Get
Yeah.
out of here.
All right. So yeah, exactly. So what you're gonna get with this one's been worn down.
Okay.
Okay, this looks like a giant. Like this is made for
A much larger
a
pencil.
huge pencil, and then the other one's very small. The difference is what you're gonna get.
There's a trash can on the table.
Yeah.
Why don't we do a little higher up?
Yeah.
So that people can. There
What
we
the
go.
zen of the.
It's the zen of pencil sharpening.
These are Mobius and Rupert sharpeners that we just started carrying that are brass. They're very nice. Okay, this small one gets this.
Now,
A
why?
very long point.
So I'm guessing that you would want that long, sharp point if you were trying to do like maybe hold the pencil like this.
You can do that in colored pencil. That's not giving you a lot of control.
Okay.
Okay. If you're doing something that's not, most people do a lot more tight renderings. Colored pencil is generally not your abstract medium.
Right.
For the most part. I mean, I've seen some stuff, but like watercolor pencil, that is probably going to be used more like that because you're laying it down to then go over it with washes, right? This is going to be to get nice hard edge detail. So it's got that nice point, so it's very hard and scientific.
But with that much of the colored pencil exposed, doesn't it make the tip more vulnerable than it would be if I was using it?
It does, but you're not using it like graphite, like writing classwork or something.
Okay.
You're going along a lot more gently. You've already seen you can't be heavy-handed with this, or it suddenly shows up. Okay, so that's this. We'll take the same pencil and we will.
Hold up the trash can.
Yeah, and these are actually very sharp. I've already somehow cut myself on a pencil sharpener.
Sacrifice for
I
your
know.
viewing
All right.
pleasure.
So that same pencil, put in the fat side.
And now it's a little bit closer to that. Now, why would I want that?
Well, you're covering large areas of your paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not important to have that nice fine point. It makes it more dull quickly. You can cover more area with a little bit kind of stumpier, wider,
see.
flatter area. And then what you do is you keep every so often sharpening that down. Don't wear them down to the wood, because then when you sharpen it again, you're taking off a lot of excess up here, right, that you could actually be using. It's
Okay.
good to just and get people want to use electric sharpeners because it's quick and easy. Not all brands have a good self-stop to them.
Right. So you can. I can
Oh,
go.
so over sharpen them.
Yeah.
So over sharpen them. And we're gonna have talked about the X-Acto one that actually is the brand I use. This is like the new generation, but I've got a couple generations before that.
Sharpeners.
That
the next
literally
generation.
stops.
And it
You
knows
can
exactly
feel it. Yeah,
when
you can feel it. And if you sharpen enough pencils with colored pencil, you can always tell kind of
You can get the feeling.
feel it,
Yep.
when it kind of gets to that point because the blade lets up. But that being said, it's an expensive sharpener, which if you're working a lot and, I've had carpal tunnel surgery in both hands, saves you a lot of wear and tear. You can put more effort into the artwork.
Okay.
So that's what this is. Always just keep, sharpen, keep it right next to you. Just keep going. That one has both of those, so that's great for colored pencil. Then There's another version that they've got that's brass. That's actually for a larger, fatter pencil, and then the regular traditional small one. Coombe makes several ones. This one, it's got it marked on the thing, so you can see this is the fat, blunter,
So
tip.
that won't sharpen it to a point at all.
On this one side, yeah,
Right.
it keeps it nice and kind of fat and flat, and then that's the point side. So that's great because it's got your cheat sheet on there.
So if you make a big investment in colored pencils,
Yes.
it makes sense to invest in something not necessarily that it has to be expensive, but a
Right.
proper sharpener, not
Yes.
just like the sharpener you'd use for number 2 pencils.
Yes, it's a very good idea. Plus, these blades aren't like your regular. I mean, these are blades that are super hard. They're honed. It's like using a fine shaving blade. It can go so much longer if you keep it clean. The same with these. You can. I mean, I've had some of these like this that years and years and years before you have to replace blades. So, for travel, these are good because it just kind of keeps your stuff up and away.
And it has a container for the schmutz,
Yes.
the junk.
Yeah, and that one's got your multiple points that are labeled. But now this is more of kind of your occasional. This wouldn't be in your studio if you're a colored pencil artist where you're using them over and over because the blades are not, in my opinion, as durable as the other ones.
And okay.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
Pocket. I have probably literally 20 of these
20?
around my house. Well, because I don't want the colored pencil ones to be with the graphite because the dust
Right.
can get on them, or charcoal, or so I've got those, and then one in every purse. Just it's an easy small design that you can just kind of slip in your pocket anywhere. Obviously not good for your studio because it.
Hey.
Well, I'm gonna use it. So.
Right.
All right. So that's what the deal is with those points. Okay.
Oh, I made a mess of my paper.
You did. All right, so pick a color. Let's lay down from about kind of here to here, a swatch about that wide.
Okay.
Because we're going to go across it with some different blenders, so you can kind of see.
Oh, that is some hot
outline is-
pink. That's the hotness right there.
I think we need a medic. My fingertip won't stop bleeding.
Do we need to take a... We'll be right back so we can get some blood coagulation.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? Did I use the right word? Wow, I never do that. Hold on
Nice.
real quick while we bandage you up.
Yeah.
Okay, so while Amy was in recovery, we managed to put down 2 lines to save you the aggravation of watching us put them down.
Yes, exactly. All right, so what we're going to do is take some of these different burnishing tools.
Okay.
Now, this is one I've been using at home. This is the, you can see I snapped it.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Carandash, which is actually for these specific pencils. So what we're going to do, I'll let you have a pencil extender.
Oh, hey.
This is actually something people don't think about that try to use these little nubs. These are a fantastic way to get all the way down to just the bare bottom of
Use
the pencil.
every bit of it without
Yes.
having to sacrifice your grip. Now, do you know what... so this is 7 and 8 millimeter. So do you know which one I would...
It should, well,
We'll find out.
yeah.
Son of a gun. Who packaged this? Oh, I got it.
Good thing you're a brute. That could have gone.
Yes, it's
so
my
terribly
brute
wrong.
force strength. All right, so is this supposed to be like sharpened or something, or
I was using it and it,
broke?
yeah. All right, I'm going to use one of these Rafine ones and sharpen this. I'm going to use the one that has the covered so I don't hurt myself.
By the way, it's
Again.
raffiné.
Oh, what? Okay. It makes it sound fancier.
It does. Okay, look at that.
Now,
I like it.
Now you've got an extension set. All right. We'll have a finesse blender to use as well. Now these have some solvent in them, right?
Okay.
They state specifically it's to use with wax pencils,
Okay.
base pencils. And they say, and it's got a fine tip and a bold tip on the end. You might want to show those. But what they recommend is that you actually use them within the same color families because the color gets on the tip.
On the nib, and then
But it'll be fine as long as you kind of keep it in the color family. So it's good to have multiple ones of those.
Well, I will keep this in the Barbie family.
Yes, the Barbie family.
I mean,
all right. Now here are, this is the Derwent. You've got a burnisher and a blender. Burnisher?
Burnisher.
Blender.
Blender.
Okay. So we'll use those, and then Prismacolor makes a clear colorless blender. What we're going to do first is you're going to take, let's do the Prismacolor one. Over here, we'll start at the right and work.
Okay.
Well, actually, it might be easier for you to.
All right. What am I doing? I'm just.
You're gonna do a small swatch about like this far.
Mm-hmm.
Just across the whole thing, kind of
Okay.
over it and across the whole thing.
Okay.
All right. And you're really going to want to work it into the color really well. With the blender, you're not as worried about, because the color's already been laid down, it's not as big of a deal to have it circular or, you know, whatever, as long as you're kind of just...
Consistent.
Yeah, because you're going to be doing it kind of a step at a time. Okay, so see how, because you're using a white paper, you can really see that there. On mine, it's much more obvious because of that texture.
Right.
All right, that's why I wanted people to see kind of the difference between the two. All right, so that was our Prismacolor. So I'm going to set this kind of up here so I know what's what.
Okay.
All right, now let's try the blender that goes with your set. Okay, just give it a little space and then do that one next.
Oh, the blender that goes with.
Yeah, this is this one.
This one. Okay.
Mhm.
So same direction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it broke.
Now you can feel this feels, it's a little kind of,
Softer.
well, yeah, it's, at first the tip is going to do that a little bit. That's why I was having some issues with it. I was used to a different brand of blender that's not, that has a wood barrel, so
Mm-hmm.
I was a little rougher with it then.
Oh, good. One of these from
Yeah.
those freak show brushes.
Yeah. This is mine from college.
Oh.
This is the original.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to try, let's do the burnisher and blenders right next to each other, just to see kind of if there's, and leave a really small line in between, just to see if you can
Okay.
really tell the difference,
So
because
this is
to me, that seems like kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. So
It looks like the burnisher's maybe a little more white, so.
okay, so I'll start with the burnisher,
Mhm.
and then I will do the blender.
You know what, with yours, let's do, like, so you can kind of tell,
Right.
just with that white paper. All right, so we're using the burnisher next. Yeah, definitely got a little bit of white in it. Yeah, see how that lightens it slightly? So this is more like what the old-fashioned kind of means of blending was. Definitely changes the, is it changing the color on yours, or is it?
Not for me, not so much.
Maybe it's due to the fluorescence, it's hard to,
I picked the wrong color.
that's okay. This is how we learn.
Yeah.
All right, and once you got that, then do the blender kind of next to it. Oh, that actually has a lot more
A lot more
color
tooth.
than I was, yeah. Both of these are much lighter on mine than the, go.
Okay.
And it pulls the color more.
Alrighty.
All right, so then let's try this finesse blender.
Ooh, I was excited about that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go bold tip or.
I don't know. It's up to you. I think that's more kind of like for detail,
Oh, okay.
trying to get kind of in around lines. So I'm gonna try just the little tip. Yeah, and you can see it's solvent now. That'll dry, so don't panic. And it's probably marker squeak.
Marker squeak. Well, this is definitely the least effort I need to put in
Yeah.
for the most result.
Oh yeah, that works really well with that.
Yeah.
It's nice. All right.
Pink tip.
Now let's take the white from your set.
So this is Prismacolor, Prismacolor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I'm doing this Soho. Soho. That is a lot brighter than the Burnisher is.
That is
On mine.
definitely
Wow.
adding color.
Yeah. See what the world before colorless blenders was like?
Oh, jeez.
I know.
It's not a world I want to live in.
I know.
No colorless blenders, smallpox.
Polio.
Horrible. Horrible
There was
thing.
polio.
There was polio.
All right. So we've got all that. Now we're going to, we'll try the solvent on the paper, but we're going to do it on the, we'll see how it works. We may do it on the,
Ooh, I like the way this smells.
all right. Now, people say that you can use mineral spirits, that you can use odorless turpentine. That doesn't exist.
Bologna.
Yeah, yeah. Some people use turpentine. Some people use denatured alcohol. Just you can get it, Home Depot or Lowe's, someplace like that. I'm gonna go with the Chelsea Classical Studios because it's non-toxic.
We won't die
and it
from
smells like lavender. The issue that I always caution people: don't use mineral spirits. It's a petroleum-based product.
Right. And it leaves a residue, right?
It does. It's going to leave a residue because what you're doing is you're kind of breaking up that wax to blend it with the solvent. So we're going to, let's put some in this one cup. We don't need a lot. And this is much more pleasant to smell in your,
Sure.
denatured alcohol is like a punch to the teeth
Yeah.
when you use it. I mean, it does evaporate, but that smell is not a pleasant one and it lingers. And same with turpentine.
Ooh.
Ta-da. Or do you need a smaller?
No, it should be fine.
Okay.
I can.
I think I'm going to use this a little bit smaller one. All right, so just kind of go the next step over. Yeah, it's not going to take a lot at all.
No, it definitely seeing it, but that will dry. The paper will not stay.
No, it'll dry.
And you can also see that I'm having a much easier time pulling and moving color. This is actually pulling color down, and it smells so darn nice.
It does. It does. Now see how that worked? Yeah, you actually were able to pull that off the paper because this is wax base.
Right.
But I did oil base, and you can see that that's done virtually nothing at all.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's pulled a little bit of color, but it's still got the same texture and all that. Now, the nice thing about using this is you can do that and really blend your colors and then go back over it with a white and really make some very opaque marks where you typically can't put the opacity of white directly over the wax already because it will pick the color up some and blend like you see here.
Right.
Right? So this is why a lot of people like the ability to use solvents.
Just gives you a new tool
yes,
for your arsenal.
It does. So, and this would work really well on, especially like if you're using illustration board and stuff, you can get, with colored pencils, a little bit more of a washy effect just because of that smoothness. And it's, you can see that your paper's kind of, I mean, it should flatten out when it's dry because it's not a super light paper, but
Right,
it's, illustration board, you could use a lot more of it.
Right.
So, so I think the only thing we really need to do now, because we've kind of shown some blenders, was there one that you liked more than the others that you felt like?
Honestly, the least effort, which is what I'm all about, was using the Chelsea Classical Studio spike oil because it pulled the color. Now, of course, I will need to have a little bit more patience with that because I'll probably have to wait for that to dry before I move on.
Well, yeah, you could always use a hairdryer.
Could use a hairdryer.
Right. So, what after that? What felt like it kind of blended the color most nicely? I'm just kind of curious.
Based on the results, I'd probably say, what did I use before the?
It was the solvent.
The
solvent marker. Yeah.
So, the solvent.
Finesse. Yeah, I've got mine
difference.
lined up so we know kind of what's.
You're prepared.
What's what?
Yeah, that
here.
would probably be what I would go to.
Okay.
Yeah. Good results, and I remember enjoying working with that.
Yeah, that worked really nicely on that paper.
Yeah.
I was very surprised by kind of that actually. Okay, so the Chelsea didn't pick up much. that finesse one did. It was probably because it was a little bit lighter load
Mm-hmm.
of the solvent. So you could, but the colorless blenders seem like they actually worked really nice, especially the Prismacolor, which is funny because this is oil base.
That is funny.
That's wax.
Right. So.
So
yeah.
which now, since we've talked about this already and about wax bloom, you could potentially get with that after the fact. So what you're going to want to do to prevent the wax bloom is when you're done with your paper, with your artwork, you're going to want to use a fixative. Now, fixatives, we're going to have talked about this, but I'm reiterating it because it's
that
important.
Yeah.
You never know what they're going to do with the oil-based ones.
It might not adhere properly. It might change color. What?
Yes, the
Might
first
set
time,
on
my first foray, because I used Prismacolor in college because that was what was around. Became a big fan of Faber-Castell. Was using that in my work when I had a studio in downtown Raleigh, and had a client come in. I was starting a picture. It was a zebra.
Okay.
It was on a nice kind of a burnt sienna tone ground. Working on it, was coming along nicely, and I was like, you know what? I looked like I was smearing something. I was like, I'm going to take a little fixative and literally went across like the back half of the zebra, literally disappeared almost completely, and I about had an aneurysm.
Mm-hmm.
And realized, and I didn't feel like I was using it heavy-handed. I mean, I've used fixative on charcoal and things like that for forever. Just did something to it with how it sat on the paper, and it just killed the color. So you want to test this maybe on that practice sheet that you started on.
Don't go
just
into your
to
final
see
artwork.
what's going to happen. To learn, are you too heavy-handed? Does it not really work with this? Oil-based ones you don't really have to do that with because you don't have the wax bloom. Now, if you're going to be using this to be blending with, you may need to use fixative. So be prepared. Always test it and try it out first.
Okay.
So, but supposedly they say with the wax-based pencils, it prevents wax bloom completely.
Okay.
So,
All right, and
good
then
thing to know. All right, so we're going to now take, which you've got plenty of room here,
Yeah.
so we can do this. Do you want to try a different brand?
I
you
do.
wanna
I really
try-
want to jump into that Faber stuff
Oh, okay. Well, grab that. I'm going to try the Color Soft.
because
since
I
that
like to
seems
say
popular.
polychromos.
Yes,
It sounds Greek.
it kind of does. But it's German, so you should
It's
make it sound
German.
angrier.
Polychromos.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'll try the Color Soft.
Let me find a less obnoxious shade of.
What might be good with this is to kind of use a color family, and we'll, like stick with kind of your red violets and blue violets, and we'll use those to kind of blend in 3 colors together.
All right, so what
Okay.
how am I starting here?
Let's do kind of circles that kind of overlap each other, so we can kind of see what happens when you're, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so so this is
I'll even let you draw the circles ahead of time.
Really?
If that makes you more comfortable.
no, it doesn't. All right, well let me get this started then. Ooh, that's soft, baby.
The Color Soft is very true to name. It actually lays down really nicely on this paper. But it's also wax base, so wax base tends to. The oil base you tend to fight textured
This
papers.
is oil base that I'm
slightly.
using now?
Yes. Yes, Faber-Castell is oil base.
How big of a circle are we doing?
I'm just doing kind of about here. That big. Does that help you?
Yeah, Pac-Man size. So that's the standard of measure.
What on what screen is this Pac-Man size?
On
There's
the 1980s arcade machine,
Oh.
Mrs. Pac-Man.
Were you actually born in the 80s?
Yes.
All right.
All right, so now I'm going to go to.
Yeah, just keep that kind of out so if you
Oh.
you need it, you can go to something that's yeah, that would be great.
And overlap them.
Yes, kind of overlap an edge.
I really like the way these feel. These feel like, For me, this lead goes on really nicely, and it doesn't
Mhm.
feel like it's going to snap on me.
Yes.
There's
Do you
n-
notice that there's a difference in texture from the paper, the raw kind of paper versus the area that you're laying it over? Can you feel the difference in kind of the drag is not as heavy?
Right, yeah, when I go over it again.
It's interesting to note that the wax is slightly more forgiving with working quickly.
All right.
Not overlapping.
And then I'm going to go to something like a
That, yeah,
magenta.
oh, perfect, yeah.
Okay.
My circles got out of control somehow.
Well, contain yourself.
I know. I didn't.
That's why I pre-draw a circle.
Yeah, this blending these is a lot harder to control within the other color than it is.
Wow, that's a circle. Like, that's not like. No, this is just blotches. Those are circles. Those are spheres.
Mm-hmm. They'll beat it into you in art school.
Yeah.
All right.
Ellipses.
Okay, so you can see kind of in between those colors. Now, if you want to take a colorless blender
Okay.
and blend those together, and then what I'm going to have you do within that circle itself is take that same color and see how this is like this. You can do lines if you want. I'm going to kind of do this. I want you to go back over and kind of burnish it with its own color, and then right next with each of these, like, see how that's like that? Then I'm going to have you take the white from that set and do a line next to it with the white over the color, so you can kind of see. When you do color swatches, it's a good idea to kind of.
So I'm applying more pressure now.
Yeah, just to kind of get the fill, not hard, but yeah, that's great.
Okay.
It's easier to see with that smooth paper. See how I've got a white through that, so I can kind of see how that's going to react with that color.
So I'm just going to go with white through it.
Yeah. You do that kind of with each of your things. It'll just kind of help you see what a heavier mass tone of that color is going to be. So we've kind of seen how it's going to react with another color itself. How's it going?
I mean, I'm having a good time.
Okay. Better than pastels, is it?
Better than pastels, it is.
If you haven't seen the pastel after party, it's got good entertainment value.
What was it?
As
What
well
was
as the brush.
Yeah, the one
what
that
was
I needed.
the brush freak show
Biohazard
one.
suit.
Yeah, that was great. All right, now I'm gonna take the Prismacolor blender because I
Okay.
really like that, and I'm gonna go back over the blend that I did with the different colors, just to kind of bold it up. See how much
Oh,
more
it
that kind of
punches
pops
up
it out.
Yeah.
Just so I can kind of see, because it's really good for mixing two colors together.
That's the Prismacolor one?
Yeah.
Let's see what I get.
Which may, I mean, it will work with the Faber being
Faber.
oil base. Yes, Faber.
Is it Faber?
I don't know. It's German. Faber sounds
Okay,
more
that does
angry.
sound- it's true. Is there something I should be using instead?
No. It'll work with them. That's what I've always used with it. in all honesty. Now I may be going to some of these solvent-based ones now, since
Yeah.
those were kind of,
We got learned on those.
I know.
All right.
Well, just, I mean, none of these were, in when I learned colored pencils, it was the late 80s, early 90s. None of these were out there then. So, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff developed
Right.
since then. See how it got you to kind of see what color mixing between colors is
Yep.
like, how much pressure you need to apply to see what the white looks like with the colors, and then what the kind of the mask color. It's good to, when you're doing your color swatches, do, you know, something maybe about this size. I'm obviously not. So you've got the one coat, and then do a white for half of, you know, like a third of it, and then do your double.
I see. So you have.
Yeah, so that you can really see, okay, this is what it's going to look like, because that might not be what you're looking for on that color paper. Oops, that's not white. Where's my white? There it is. Wrong color.
Ah.
So then I'm going to know, for this type of paper and this color paper, is this color what I really want for the work I'm working on?
Right.
It may look very different on this color compared to another color that's very similar.
Right.
So just a good kind of, we've learned to blend. We've tried some of these different burnishers and blenders and colorless blenders to see what works with the brands that we're using.
Yeah.
Learned a little bit about kind of applying color and all that. So I think this is good. And then I think what we're going to do is I'm going to do a small colored pencil work,
Okay.
so that they can see kind of from start to finish, just a little still life of a piece of fruit, kind of how it works on like with a paper color that's complementary to the actual artwork. Because
Right.
what that does is saves you the amount of pencils you burn through. You know, on a white one, obviously you're going to put a lot more samples. We
I
got
see.
samples. A lot more color is going to have to go down
Ooh.
to get that same color effect, right? Where this is a kind of a grayish shell with a little bit of color, look how much less colors had to go on this part. I mean, more had to go in the shadow, but you can suddenly save a lot of color by picking something similar, kind of the same with this. So picking, and the colors look nice together, picking a color that kind of matches with your, you can tell that I'm a little bit of a fan of this paper.
You are.
Yeah.
I can tell.
It was back out in the day, so we used a lot of it. So I'll do a small piece so people can kind of see
Okay.
what that looks like, and then you know, if they have any questions, they can leave us questions
All right.
about the color pencil. Go back and, you know, if you haven't caught the Facebook Live, go back and watch
Watch
that, so that you can learn about all these different brands, because something specific may apply to you. We haven't talked about those because we were talking about technique here in the after party, but we can help kind of guide you with what's right for the type of artwork you want to do, even if it's just coloring. These are all professional sets we've got, but there's the non-professional pencils that are out there are a lot better than they used to be. So if you're into just coloring for relaxation, or just want a set to be able to do mixed media journaling or
Whatever
things
it
like
is.
that, yeah, these may not be in your price range or in your needs. So definitely watch that after party, or the see, because we're doing them out of sequence, it starts getting
Jerry's
confusing.
Live on
yes, the
Facebook.
live. So
Okay, so now I'm gonna go sit down,
I know.
and you're
Lucky
gonna
you.
do
Yes.
your thing.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna
But
take these.
thanks for tuning in, joining us
Oh yeah,
for the
yeah,
after
yeah.
party.
Yeah. So you'll watch. I guess we'll time lapse that.
Yeah, time
Okay.
lapse that just kind of at the end.
But we'll wrap
So,
this up here.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we hug him?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. They can follow you where?
You can follow me at Mike Now Jerry on Instagram, and you can follow Amy where?
On Facebook.
At Amy Gardner Dean. I don't know if you put an @ for Facebook. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Thank you so much, and enjoy your taco night.